Hi, I'm Dan Koplowitz. I live in San Francisco, California. I'm the owner of an independent record label called Friendly Fire Recordings and a sync licensing company called Friendly Fire Licensing that represents a catalog of about 6,000 songs. I'm also head of A&R for a publishing company called Cooking Vinyl America, and I'm here to talk to you today about licensing. First of all, let's start by describing the terms. So when I refer to sync licensing, a synchronization is any time you match up audio, music, with moving images. So this can be getting your song in a movie, in a TV show, in a commercial, in a video game, or an online video. It's all really the same thing. And when you do a license, there's a potential to make a lot of money, potential to increase exposure for your band or for yourself, and it's something that I would encourage every artist to explore doing, because as difficult as the music industry has gotten, the world of sync licensing is growing, and there's a tremendous need ranging from big blockbuster movies down to little tiny web videos and cable TV shows and independent films, looking for a huge variety of music. So I would encourage all of you to seriously consider the role that licensing and synchronization plays in your growth as an artist. I'll explain the basics of how it works because it is a little weird and complicated. First of all, anytime you do a license, you're in fact doing two licenses. There's two separate agreements in place. The first is the master license, and this is for whoever controls the recording itself. So this is if you went into the studio, you hit record, you laid down some beats, you sang some songs, you have a CD, you have a song, that's the master recording. That's one license, but there's also something called the publishing or the composition license, and that's basically it's the composition of the song. So imagine if you sat down and wrote out the notes and said, these are the chord changes, this is the tempo, these are the lyrics. It's like the blueprint for the song. Even if you didn't do any of that, even if you just wrote it all in your head, that still exists, the composition. And anytime you license a song for a movie or a TV show or what have you, you're issuing two licenses for the master and the composition. So the first and most important thing is to know who controls the master and the composition. If you're a new artist and you're just starting out, and if it's a song that you wrote yourself, chances are it's you, but perhaps not. So the first and most important thing, and this applies beyond the world of licensing, is know who controls the rights to your songs. Because if you've signed to a label, if you've signed to a publisher, and sometimes there are good reasons to do that, but then they might control the rights, and no one ever wants to, no filmmaker or music supervisor ever wants to put a song in something and think that they have permission to use it, only to discover at the last minute that you didn't actually have the right to let them do it. The same goes for cover songs. So if you're covering someone else's song, you record a cover of a Beatles song, let's say, you'll control the master, but the publishing belongs to someone else. So bear in mind that anytime you license something, you need both of those licenses in place. Assuming, for the sake of argument, that you control the master and you control the license, generally speaking, the money that's paid for a license is 50-50 master side and composition side. It doesn't have to be that way. There's no law that says it's that way. It's just kind of a general practice in the music industry. And it does change when it's a cover, because if you're covering a big artist song, chances are the big artist who controls the composition is going to get a lot more money than you are. But if it's your song and you have the master and the publishing, let's say there's a license and it's for $5,000. Generally they'll pay $2,500 for the master use, $2,500 for the composition use. So this is an important thing to understand because really you're talking about two different licenses for really what's the same piece of music. Another thing to consider when you're looking into licenses is, of course, what it's for. So, like I said, there are huge sync opportunities and there's little tiny things, and what you're asking for should vary based on what it is. But a couple things to look at are what's the use? So is this going to be online only? Is it going to be TV only? Is it going to be all media, which means online, TV, theatrical, so on? Is it exclusive or not? Some people will say we want to use your song exclusively, which means that if you license it for us, nobody else gets to use it. We get the song. If they're asking for that, you want more money because you're giving away an additional right. Territory is important. Is it just going to be in the United States? Is it going to be worldwide? And then finally, term is important. Do they want this for perpetuity, for forever, or do they want it for a year, for 3 years, or for 5 years? So these are all things to look into and to consider. And the more someone is asking for, the more of a right you have to ask for something in return.